Hey, it's Russ and Lauren. This is our weekly music discussion video here on the Infectious Groove YouTube channel. And for this week, Lauren is doing a follow-up. We've done this in the past before where either you've handled the singles for a certain year or the albums for a certain year. And I don't know why, but recently I was like, you know what? I'm going to look at singles from 1982. And I had a ferociously hard time coming up with just 5.
So then you said, Lauren, you need to do the albums.
And so
because I can't do this.
Yeah, and so I said, here, you do the albums. And yeah, I would assume that there was a lot of mental gymnastics that went on with you.
Yeah, I had a hard time. I had a hard time. There was like, this was one of those things where you start with a list of like 15 and then have to whittle it down.
Yeah. So now we always do these in the 5 formats. So if you're going to watch our picks here, you're probably going to say at least at some point, oh yeah, I expected that one to be on there. But you're probably also going to be like, oh, I can't believe that one got left out or whatever. So make sure to leave a comment and let us know other songs that are or albums that are your favorites from 1982. But also let us know what you think of Lauren's picks and what we have to say about them. So I mean, all 5 of these are totally great for different reasons.
Yeah.
So.
And just for the record, these are in chronological order for when they came out in 1982.
Right on.
So this
That's
is
funny.
like
The last one on your list, I always forget that it came out that late in the year.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So I'm starting with Asia, the album Asia by Asia, who are not from Asia.
Right.
But yeah, when I think like classic rock people doing 80s stuff, this is the quintessential thing to happen. It's like, I mean, obviously Asia supergroup without like screaming
that
supergroup.
was the thing I was going to say was when I was a kid, I had no idea. At the time, this came out when I was 7. So like, I didn't know what a supergroup was. I didn't know, like, I'd heard of Emerson, Lake and Palmer. I almost said Powell in the 80s. They were Emerson, Lake and Powell in the 80s. But I had heard of Emerson, Lake and Palmer. Yes. And but like, I didn't.
Right.
Yeah. To me, these were like Asia. And then also they did other things.
Yeah. Which I think is really cool. And like, you get where all these guys came from. You can hear it in Asia, but it's also something completely different. I just think this album is
Shout
awesome.
out to what I think is one of the coolest album covers I've ever seen in my whole life.
Yeah.
And if you are of a certain age, like I am, you used to draw band logos all over everything to do with your school stuff. And like this Asia logo got drawn through the whole 80s, even though this is the only record everyone knew by them.
That's great.
Yeah. So that's one. The second one is, this video has nothing to do with like vinyl and whatnot, but like this is one of the best sounding LPs I've ever heard in my entire life.
Oh yeah?
Yeah.
Toto. Toto 4 by Toto.
Yeah.
Toto. I just like saying Toto.
And you're not a Scrubs fan. T-O-T-O Toto. There's a whole thing in Scrubs about Toto.
I don't know.
But yeah, Toto 4.
Yeah.
Loaded.
Yeah. I mean, it's great. Like this is like, I know Toto has other things, but I think if you're this is the Toto to have.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, they have plenty of other great music, but like, I mean, I say this a lot about certain albums. If this album was a 12-inch single for the song Rosanna, I would still love it.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
I know, because I mean, Rosanna's, that's just.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Like before you even worry about the rest of this monster record.
Yeah.
And I would argue this is one of those albums that, and I'm going to say his name right this time, Steve Lukather. This is one of those albums like between him, Jeff Porcaro, you can hear everything everyone brings to the table on this record.
Yeah,
where I would
sure.
argue like later Toto is like more Steve in control, being like, we're going to do power ballads because Journey did that, you know, and even earlier is different direction where I just feel like on this record you can hear everything everyone brings to the table.
Yeah, that totally
and
makes
sonically,
sense.
I'm not kidding you. You can get like a beat up $2 copy of this album on vinyl and it will still sound immense. It's like you've heard, I know you haven't heard it yet, but you've heard Sports by Huey Lewis.
Yes.
Okay. Toto 4 makes Huey Lewis sound like garbage. Like that's how good sounding that record is. Like not the quality of music, but the
No, I know what you're saying.
and there's
if I had pearls, I'd be clutching them.
yeah. The next one is, for me, this album bats clean up to an album I do not like.
Yeah, and that's what it's for, right? That's exactly what it's for. I'm Mirage, Fleetwood Mac, and
or as I call it, you had your fun now, Lindsay.
Let's get back to
let's
what
go back to being
hear.
Fleetwood Mac now.
Yeah, and that's exactly again what Mirage does. Mirage sounds like what the follow-up to Rumors should have sounded like.
And I've said this on the channel a bunch, and you have too. I don't expect people to like. I love Rumors, and I don't want Rumors too, but I don't want Tusk either. You know what I mean? Like, and I understand Tusk has its fans, and actually, not fishing for comments, but like if you're a big Tusk fan, by all means, drop a comment and tell me what I'm missing about it. But there's two. I think I don't know. Were there more than two singles off of this?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, the two I know of, the two I think of when I think of this record is "Hold Me" and "Gypsy," and those are quintessential Fleetwood Mac songs to me. You know, Hold Me is every much Christine Fleetwood Mac for me as Everywhere or Little Lies.
Yep.
You know?
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course. I mean, Hold Me was her gearing up to do Everywhere in Little Lies.
Yeah.
You know,
fine.
like that's
Yeah.
like she's like, I think I've got it in me. I'm going to do it. And you know, that's what. But
I can't with that Christine. I always say, you can't get out of this one, Johnny.
No.
I know it doesn't apply here, but every time I hear her
it's
name,
great.
I think of that. Yeah.
Yeah. There's a Stevie track on this album called Straight Back, which, while is not, it's probably one of the least witchy of songs of hers, but it sounds like you should play it at Halloween.
I like to rank my Stevie Nicks by witchy to
Witchiness.
least. Yeah.
Yes.
But go on.
It just sounds like you should play it at Halloween. It's
Oh,
got
right on.
like
Oh,
spookiness. I think it might have been on my
That
Halloween.
might be
Yeah,
on one of the
I think it
Halloween
was.
videos that you did. Yeah. Now the next record, I hope you have a lot to say about because I know next to nothing about it. I don't like. I think I told you growing up, Billy and Elton, two of your big ones. I never disliked anything I heard by them, but I didn't love anything I
Right.
heard by them. And this is one of those albums that, like when we listened to it straight through on vinyl, there was a lot of those like, oh, I know this song moments for me. Like I never put together that it was all on this record.
Yeah, that makes that sure.
Yeah. So what's your next one?
The Nylon Curtain, Billy Joel. This is my favorite Billy Joel album.
Right on.
I am just now realizing that two of the albums on this list we had cookies made for our wedding reception.
Yeah, I know. I thought of that when I was talking about
So we
Asia.
really like them. But anyway, yeah, the Nylon Curtain, it's the follow-up to Glass Houses, and it comes before Innocent Man. And like, you can tell that this is where that sits, right? Because Glass Houses was Billy being like, you know, they tell me that I'm just like schlucky, soft piano guy, and I'm going to try and rock a little harder on this, which is, it's cute. Like, Glass Houses is Billy Joel's idea of him rocking.
I know.
Which is great. But then this, he kind of got like serious with the theming on it. Like this, if Billy Joel doesn't have a concept album, but this is the closest that you're going to get to that.
Not to put you on the spot, but as I was pulling like the album covers and stuff for this video, what does the title of this record mean?
That's a good question.
I don't
No,
know.
it's this is happening around the time when you've got like the Iron Curtain,
Yeah.
and you know, then Billy did a whole lot of his stuff like with the USSR, where it's like
Okay.
maybe we can get through it.
Because I know much later than this came the Russian concerts and stuff. So I thought that, and then I was like, well, no, my timing would be off on that.
But yeah,
it would be thinking
there is
along
a
those
reason,
lines.
and I don't know it. Somebody comment with it because you're going to pull it better
Okay, I
than
was
I
just
am.
I was
No,
just
I know there's like an
curious, yeah.
actual. There's a reason. I think part of it has to do with the fact that like we may be separated by stuff, but it's not as thick as we think it is.
Well, boy, I'm glad we learned that lesson in the world, you know?
Yeah.
And people didn't just continue to be divided over nothing whatsoever.
But this album is great, and if you're going to check out a song that you don't
was
hear on
literally-
this all
I
the
was
time,
literally going to ask, like, what's the one song you would tell people to
Laura.
listen to? Oh, yeah.
I think that song it's so complex. There's a video, it's on YouTube, of Billy doing a talk at some university somewhere where he breaks down the chords of Laura, and he's like, I just went there because it sounded weird, and like that's what and I'm like, so there's no rhyme or reason.
Yeah.
It's very Beatlesque, and Billy drops an F.
Oh, my. I think years later I told you that about the song "Scream" by MJ and Janet. I was like, yeah,
I know this is very like, oh my gosh, but I know Billy talks like that, but like he didn't put it in his music.
Yeah, right, exactly. Garth is like that. Garth Brooks is like that, where like he doesn't ever say anything like that in his music. But then if you watch a casual interview with Garth, you're like, Garth said no.
Stop.
Now the last song on your or last album on your list came out. I know late in the year, but other than that, I don't know a lot about this artist or this album. So you're gonna have to take us through.
Yeah, Thriller, Michael Jackson.
Never heard of it.
I know. I know.
Which, by the way,
Didn't sell too many well.
I will stop off because I would rather. I talk exhaustively about Michael Jackson on this channel. I would like to get a lot of your perspective on this album. But one thing I want to mention before I pass it off to Lauren, it is the largest selling record of all time. Eagles fans. First of all, greatest hits albums shouldn't count. Second of all, check your sound scan numbers. Thriller outsold Eagles' greatest hits, and stop claiming otherwise. Anyways, there's a whole thing.
I believe
There's
it. I mean, you wouldn't
thing.
go there if there weren't.
There's a whole thing, and I don't mind the Eagles, but let me tell you what. Anyways, your perspective on this record is going to be far different than mine. First of all, like this record was already in the, like, this is a thing that existed before you were born.
Correct.
Whereas I was 7 when it came out, and I watched the whole world change through this record.
Yes. Yeah.
So for you, and I don't mean to belittle this, it's for me, it's always like a unique perspective. Like, this is just an album that existed. Right. So like, what is your take on Thriller as you grew up?
Okay. So here's my take on this. It's just hit after hit after hit after hit after hit. Like, if I not until embarrassingly late in my life did I actually listen to Thriller from
Like front to back,
because I was basically like, well, I know that song. I know that song. I know that song.
I think I've told you this. I think it works less front to back than it does if you pick songs off.
Yes. I mean, here's the thing. Thriller is a great collection of music, and just coming from, like, I grew up listening to, like, my mom was very into, Def Leppard. So like, my thing with Thriller was, like, I always heard Hysteria described as rock thriller.
Oh,
do you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's fair.
And so, like, Thriller for me was always like a qualifier for this one Def Leppard thing that I really enjoyed.
No, and
so I'm like, oh, but again, it's hit after hit
Thriller,
after hit.
no
after
one
hit
had done
after
that,
hit.
and then that was how you measured it from there.
Yeah,
out,
exactly. So it's
so
the
you
bar.
know, people say the Michael Jordan of.
Right.
That's what people.
It's the bar for what's
this is
successful.
the Thriller of country. This is or the Thriller of rock. Yeah. For me, the thing with the record is that it's funny that we just talked about Toto earlier. Is they are so across this record, like Human Nature, which arguably is the best song on the album. It was written by Chuck Carl for Toto, and they were like, yeah, we can't really use this. And Michael heard it and was like, yep, and I would just yesterday we were in the car listening to a Casey Kasem countdown in the car, and it was one of the weeks where Billie Jean was number one, and I was talking about how that track is not even in my probably top 20 Michael Jackson songs, but that's a monster track.
Yeah,
like, it's just like the fact that side 2 of Thriller opens with Beat It, Billie Jean, and Human Nature in that order. What?
Yeah, what are you doing?
And then you tack PYT on the end of that,
which I love.
Yeah,
I mean, I know you're
it's,
that.
I know it's not my jam, but I know why everyone loves that song.
As a former PYT,
yeah.
Now I'm verging on POT now.
Right. I want to love you, middle-aged thing. And it'd be fine if it didn't have the robots on there. It'd be less.
I like the robots.
Everyone does, but me. But yeah, I mean, there's not a lot to say about Thriller that you guys. I have many videos on this channel focusing on Thriller in different forms.
Yeah, and I was like, here's the thing: when I was going through this list, I had other things that I was gonna put here,
can't.
but I was like, I can't. If this is when I can't. So like Phil Collins, I'm really sorry. Michael Jackson knocked you off my list.
Yeah, and Phil Collins is a guy who's always had very intelligent things to say regarding Michael Jackson and the media and whatnot too. So yeah, it's super sad that Phil got knocked out by MJ. But that's one of those artists though that I'm sure you love from that year. So by all means, drop a comment and let us know. We have fun doing these videos. We of course have our reaction videos on the weekend and vinyl videos and whatnot, but we really love doing these. So please by all means share these ones out with your friends as well. The music discussion videos that we do, because we really love them. If you have any years you want us to focus on, or topics for any of our series, 5 songs to start with, what's so great about any of that stuff, leave a comment, let us know. We will get it in our rotation and get it out to you as soon as we can. And as we always say, thank you so much for watching.